All right, big trade today. Rasmus Sandin goes to the Washington Capitals in exchange for Eric Gustafsson and first round pick from the Boston Bruins. Uh, Very likely that will end up being a very low pick, but we'll get to that in a second. So first of all, Rasmus Sandin, who is he? He is a very good bottom pairing defenseman right now, and has potential easily to be a top four defenseman. And he is someone that Leafs fans love and should love because he's a very good player, and Capitals fans will see that when they get him. Now, I don't need to explain Rasmus Sandin. He's been explained enough in media, and if you're clicking on this video, you know about him. Um, so, and if you know about him, you should immediately, your first reaction should be, probably was, what are the Leafs doing? And that was mine too. Um, that was mine too when I first saw this trade. Just coming home from home, I see the trade. I start coming home, I see the trade, and I'm immediately completely confused. It doesn't make any sense. But now I'm starting to think about it more and more. Went out and walked my dog, cleared my head for a second, and now I'm back and I thought about something that Ryan said yesterday in the Leafs Town episode. He actually predicted that Sandin would get moved yesterday, which I immediately nah, that was not gonna happen. That's what I said. That I had no doubt that Sandin was gonna be a long term part of this team. But now that I think about it, what Ryan said is actually completely right. So Rasmus Sandin is right now the Leafs' seventh defenseman. He was not in the lineup during practice. Um, he was well, he obviously got traded during the practice, but also he was not playing in the line rushes. He was sitting out in favor of other Leafs defensemen. And also, he was probably going to be fighting for a spot for the next 3, maybe even 4 years to even be in the top four. Like, maybe even to be in the lineup for the next couple of years as well. He knew this when he signed his contract. He, obviously held out for a while, and people are like, whoa, why is he taking so long? Obviously, he's going to sign. And then we start to see, oh, wait, he has so much competition. There are so many prospects. There are so many, already NHL ready defensemen that he has to compete against. And that's why he's like, you know what? I want term, I want money, and I want to be ensured that I will have a spot on this team. Eventually, he saw that, okay, the Leafs are injured. I'm going to take a prove it deal. I'm going to take less money and earn a spot on this team and get paid at the end of this deal. So he did that. It didn't really work out for him. He's still on the bottom pair, and now with the addition of Jake McCabe, he's not even on the bottom pair anymore. So with that, we know that Kyle Dubas, the Leafs GM, has always done right by his players, and if he can't find a spot for them on the team, he will move them off to a place where they have a better opportunity. This is what he did here. Now, Sandin has a chance to go play. He'll probably still play bottom pairing minutes on the Capitals, but he will definitely, at least next season, get the chance to play top four. And he'll probably do a decent job at it too. Thing is, on the Leafs, he didn't have that opportunity. Obviously, this season he's out of the picture. Next season, if Hall moves on, he's fighting with Timmins for for the sixth or seventh spot. Um, the season after that, he solidified the sixth spot. But did he really? Because then you have Leafs prospects coming up like Topi Niemela, who has shown that he is capable of probably being a top pairing defenseman in the league now. His value has skyrocketed. So if Sandin keeps playing bottom pairing minutes on the Leafs, his value will continue to decrease and decrease and decrease as he gets older. Right now, it's at an all-time high where, other teams see, oh, this is a young defenseman who has potential to be a top four defenseman. And they are right. And that's what the Capitals got here. But in later years, they might see, oh, this is a guy who's struggling to get into the top four, and he's getting older, and his value will drop. So what Kyle Dubas now does right by his player, which is a good thing for future moves, as people will want to come to the Leafs because they know that they do right by their players. And later on, he also gets to get the maximum value that he could possibly get for Sandin. Now, you might be saying, is Eric Gustafsson and the Bruins' first round pick really maximum value? At first, I thought no. Then I looked at Eric Gustafsson. He's better than I thought he was. He's an average defender, but a very good offensive defenseman. He's above half a point per game in the league right now. I don't even know if he'll crack the lineup, but if he does, great. That's good. Um, as for the first round pick, that's where things get interesting. There's probably another move coming. That's a big asset. But yeah, Capitals fans, you should be happy. This guy will probably get a spot in your top four. I doubt he'll be a top pairing defenseman. That's kind of like what people projected if he got to play with Liljegren, and that's another big piece in this. Liljegren has solidified himself as one of the top young defensemen in this league. He is really the picture of a modern two-way defenseman. People say that was Moritz Seider, but he's obviously had a tough year this year. Liljegren has kept consistent and been a very good defensive contributor, and he has also started to ramp up his offensive game too, and he's been playing on the second line power play. I think he's done a good job. He has the biggest shot on the team. The Leafs saw a top pairing defenseman in him, and they already have top pairing defensemen in Riley and Brody, a top four defenseman in McCabe, and those guys are going to be there long term, and that just meant that Sandin didn't really have a spot. So instead of playing a defenseman like that, which can give you so much value, you move him away and get that value. So I know that a lot of Leafs fans are going to be hurt by this. I am too, because I did think he was going to be amazing. But the more and more I look at it, it's probably not as bad as it could have been. What I am interested to see now is what's going to happen with that first round pick, because the Leafs are not keeping what could be like the 30th overall pick. There have been a lot of rumblings with the Vancouver Canucks. So Kerfoot is someone that the Vancouver Canucks are looking at. They would gladly take a first round pick, and JT Miller is on the block, Brock Besser is on the block, Connor Garland is on the block. The Leafs could really make an upgrade here at offense without really losing much at defense. The seventh defenseman they're losing at defense, and make another push, a stronger push even this year. And maybe he could be someone long-term, like Besser is still long-term. If you can get retention on him, that's a really good deal for someone who can play in your top six, who's been struggling lately, but you know he has the skill to, when you put him on a line with Marner, Matthews, Tavares, Nylander, be amazing. So there is something else happening. In the next 2 days, today is Tuesday, trade deadline is Friday, there is something going to happen. I guarantee it that this move will likely lead to another move that involves a forward that will help this year and hopefully for the next coming years, but doesn't take away too much from the Leafs in terms of their back end on defense in the coming years as well, because Sandin kind of really didn't have a spot. So yeah, if you guys are worried about, we just lost one of our best defensive prospects, maybe, but I think that Topi Niemela will be coming in maximum 3 years. He'll probably be ready before that, if I'm being honest. And until then, you have Jake McCabe to hold you over, who's on a 3-year contract. Liljegren is going to get re-signed 100% now. That is no doubt. He's earned a spot on this team. He will probably be playing top pair minutes as early as next year, consistently. Riley is obviously signed long-term. He's the hallmark of that defense. Brody is still around for a while. And Giordano is going to be here for next year, probably retire after that. And Timmins is also signed long-term. So there's still a lot of decent young options, especially with Liljegren and Timmins and Niemela coming up. This, I don't think, hurts the Leafs as much as people might think. Sure, it would have been nice to keep Sandin around, but this is how to maximize his value, and it will almost guarantee it will eventually lead to a top 6 forward that can push Ryan O'Reilly down to the third line. Considering how good he's been on the Leafs so far, that is insane. Just imagine like Tavares, Besser, and Marner on the second line. Tavares, Garland, Marner. Tavares, Miller at half retained Marner. That's a very, very, very strong second line. And considering what that would make the third line be, like what, Ryan O'Reilly at center with Pierre Engvall, who's been very good on the right, and Jarnkrok, who's been even better on the left. what more can you ask for? That offense is completely filled out. Like the fourth line is Zach Aston Reese. No, not he might even not even be in the lineup anymore. Like Nola Chari, Sam Lafferty, and David Kampf. Those are your three like shut down forwards on the fourth line. I would trust that line to play against almost any line in the NHL. And that's just your fourth line. Third line, 100%. So really good defensive players. Second line, I don't even have to say anything. Marner, Tavares have been really good. And then the first line has been one of the better lines in the league. So something else is coming. Dubas is cooking. He really is. He's having a good trade deadline so far. This one looked like it was bad in the beginning, but overall, I'd give the Leafs like an A- on this one. I'm not even kidding. The Caps probably do come out better. I will give them like an A. They get Sandin. He'll be a top 4 defenseman for them as early as next year. But I'm not mad about this. I was in the beginning. I'm not mad anymore. Just really got to think about it. Yeah. So thank you very much for listening. I hope I could change a lot of your guys' mind and maybe quell your feelings a bit. But it's still crazy season. There's still so much to go. Obviously, Patrick Kane was traded. That deal wasn't as big as we thought it would be, and there are still players available, especially from Vancouver. And watch the Leafs in Vancouver. Something is definitely cooking there. See you next time.